Okay, so we're on chapter 13 of Matched. We're about halfway through. Remember they're at the picnic, and then they were going to plant, right?
They were gonna what?
Plant. Is that at the picnic? Guys, phones need to be down. Red blossom new rose plants sit in black plastic tubs, waiting for us to plant them into the ground in front of the first school. First school always looks so cheerful. I can picture the inside of the school with its bright yellow walls, green tile floors, and blue classroom doors. It's easy to feel safe here. I always did when I was young. I feel safe here now, I tell myself. There's no poem left. Papa's problems are over. I'm safe here and everywhere else. Except, perhaps, on the little hill, where, in spite of my decision to stay safe, I often find myself glancing over at Kai, wondering, wishing we could talk again, but not daring to take the risk of saying anything to him besides the common things, the things we always say. I look over my shoulder for Kai, but I don't see him. What kind of flowers are these? Xander asks as we dig. The soil is thick and black. It comes apart in clumps as we lift it. New roses, I tell Xander. You probably have some growing in your yard. We have them in ours. I don't tell him that they're not my mother's favorite. She thinks the ones we have in the city and all the gardens and public spaces are too hybridized, too far from their original selves. The old roses took a lot of care to grow. Each blossom was a triumph. But these are hardy, showy, bred for durability. We don't have new roses in the farmlands, my mother says. We have other flowers, wildflowers.
It wasn't like logging me out, but it just did.
Okay. When I was little, she used to tell me stories about those different flowers that grew wild in the farmlands. The stories didn't have a plot. They weren't even really stories as much as they were descriptions. But they were beautiful, and they lulled me to sleep. Queen Anne's lace, my mother would say in a slow, soft voice. Wild carrot, you can eat the root when it's young enough. The flower is white and lacy, lovely, like stars. Who's Queen Anne? I'd ask drowsily. I can't remember. I think she's in the 100 history lessons somewhere. But shh, that's not important. What's important is that you see the lace in front of you. Too many little flowers to count, but you try anyway. Xander hands me a new rose plant, and I pull it from its small plastic tub and put it in the ground. The strong, stringy roots have grown in circles around the inside of the pot, for lack of anywhere else to go. I spread them out, and as I put the new rose plant into the ground, looking at the soil makes me think of the dirt my shoes collect while we hike, and thinking of hiking makes me think of Kai again. I wonder where he is. As Xander and I plant the flowers and talk, I picture Kai working while the rest of us play, or listening to the music piped into the almost empty auditorium. I imagine him walking through the crowds at the recreation building and taking his turn playing a game that he will likely lose. I see him sitting in the theater, watching the showing, tears in his eyes. No, I banish the images from my mind. I won't do this anymore. The choice is made. I never had a choice to begin with. Xander knows I'm not listening to him as closely as I should. He glances to make sure no one can hear us, and then he says softly, Kasha, are you still worried about your father? My father. I don't know, I say. It's the truth. I don't know how I feel about him right now. Already the anger is giving way, almost against my will, to more understanding, more empathy. If Grandfather had looked at me with his fiery eyes and asked me to do him one last favor, would I have been able to tell him no? The evening slides in slowly, darkening the sky by degrees. There's a trace of light left when the chime rings again, and we stand up to survey our work. A small breeze drifts across the grounds, and the flower beds ripple red in the dusk. I wish we could do this every Saturday, I say. It feels like we have created something beautiful. My hands are stained red from some of the crushed petals, and they smell of earth and new rose. A sharp flower smell that I like in spite of my mother's comments about the old rose perfume being more subtle, more delicate. What's wrong with being durable? What's wrong being something, someone that lasts? Standing there looking at my work, however, I realize that all my family has ever done is sort, never create. My father sorts old artifacts like my grandfather did. My grandmother sorted poems. My farmlander grandparents plant seeds and tend crops, but everything they grow has been assigned by the officials, just like the things my mother grows at the Arboretum, just like we did here. So I didn't create anything after all. I did what I was told and followed the rules, and something beautiful happened, exactly as the officials have promised. There's the ice cream, Xander says. The workers wheel the freezer carts along the sidewalk near the flower beds. Xander grabs me by the hand and Em by the other and pulls us to the nearest lane. It takes the workers much less time to hand out our foil cups of ice cream than it took them to pass out dinner because the ice cream is all the same. Our meals have our specialized vitamins and enrichments and have to be given to the right person. The ice cream is a nothing food. Someone calls out to Em, and she goes over to sit by them. Xander and I find a place a little apart from everyone else. We lean our backs against the sturdy cement block walls of the school and stretch out our legs. Xander's are long, and his shoes are worn. He must be due for some new ones soon. He digs his spoon into the single white scoop and sighs. I'd plant acres of flowers for this. I agree. Cold and sweet and wonderful. The ice cream slides across my tongue and down my throat and into my stomach, where I swear I can feel it long after it melts. My fingers smell like soil and my lips taste like sugar, and I'm so awake right now that I wonder if I will be able to sleep tonight. Xander holds out his last spoonful towards me. No, it's yours, I say, but he insists. He is smiling and generous, and it seems ungracious to push his hand away, so I don't. I take the spoon from him and pop the last bite into my mouth. It's the kind of thing you could never do at a real meal, share food, but it's acceptable tonight. The officials wandering around supervising don't even bat an eye. Thanks, I say, and then Xander's act of kindness inexplicably makes me feel a little like crying, so I have to joke instead. We shared a spoon. That's practically kissing. Xander rolls his eyes. If you think that, you've never been kissed before. Of course I've been kissed before. We are teenagers after all. Until we're matched, we all have crushes and flirt and play kissing games. But that's all they are, games, because we know we'll be matched someday, or we'll stay single and the games will never end. Was there anything in the guidelines about kissing? Anything I should remember? I ask, teasing Xander. I see an answering look of mischief in his eyes as he leans a little closer. There are no rules about kissing, Kasha. We're matched. I have looked at Xander's face many times, but never like this. Never in the almost dark, never with a feeling in my stomach and heart that is 2 parts excitement and 1 part nervousness. I glance around, but no one looks at us, and even if they did, all they would see is 2 shadowy figures sitting rather close as the evening dims. So I lean closer too. And if I needed any more confirmation that the society knows what they're doing, that this is the match for me, the taste of Xander's kiss would convince me. It feels right, sweeter than I expected. A chime rings across the schoolyard as Xander and I pull back, looking at each other. We still have an hour of free rec time left, Xander says, glancing down at his watch, his face open, unembarrassed. I wish we could stay, I say, and I mean it. The air feels so warm on my face out here. It's real air, not chilled or warmed for my convenience, and Xander's kiss, my first real kiss, makes me press my lips together, try to taste it again. They won't let us, he says, and I see that it's true. They're already gathering the cups, telling us to finish up our free rec hour someplace else because the light is leaving here. Em detaches from her other group of friends and walks over to us, graceful. They're going to see the end of the showing, she says, but I'm tired of that. What are you going to do? The moment she asks the questions, her eyes widen a little, remembering that Xander and I are matched. She had forgotten for a moment, and now she worries she'll be out of place. But Xander's voice is warm, easy, friendly. Not enough time for a game, he says. There's a music hall near here, 1 stop over. Should we go there? Em looks relieved, glances at me to make sure it's all right. I smile at her. Of course it is. She's still our friend. As we walk to the air train stop, I think about how there were once more of us. Then Kai got his work assignment, then Piper. I don't know where Sarah is tonight. Em is here, but there will be a time when she leaves too, when it's just Xander and me.